Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we need to talk about a very specific feeling. It's not a good one.
Hmm.
It's a feeling I think haunts anyone who works in, a creative field or sales, and especially real estate. It's not the stress of the work we're all used to stress. It's what happens when the work just stops.
Our source material for this episode actually has a name for it. It calls it the hollow silence.
That phrase, it really rattled me. The hollow silence, it captures that moment perfectly. So we're digging into a piece from Jamaica Homes today, and specifically an analysis by its founder, Dean Jones.
Good.
He's breaking down a scenario that seems to happen all the time in the Jamaican property market, but honestly, if you're a freelancer or a contractor anywhere, you're going to feel this in your bones.
Absolutely. While the backdrop is the Jamaican real estate scene, the dynamic itself is, well, it's universal. It's about that friction between the believers, the people out there selling the vision,
Yeah.
and the builders, the developers who actually hold all the keys.
Okay, so let's set the scene because I really want you to picture this. You're a real estate agent. You get a big breeders. A developer comes to you with a new high-rise project. Let's call it Sunset Towers. You are hyped.
You're all in.
All in. You're not just listing it. You're becoming the face of it. You're out there on the weekends, standing in the dirt, shooting drone footage. You're printing brochures. Maybe you even built a whole website for it.
You are, and this is a key phrase from the source, you're investing in belief. You're front-loading all your effort based on the promise of a payout that's months, maybe years away.
Right. You're building the whole story before the building even exists. And then you get a phone call. Or maybe you don't even get a call. Maybe you just see an email. The developer has changed their mind. Maybe they're taking sales in-house now that the market is hot. Maybe the project got paused. Or maybe they just decided they don't need you anymore.
And that right there is the hollow silence. The noise of the project stops, the emails stop, and you're just left standing there. You've got a whole library of videos you can't use.
Brochures that are now just scrap paper.
And a bank account that is significantly lighter than it was 3 months ago.
It's an absolute nightmare. But here's where I want to push back a little. If I'm listening to this and I work in, say, a big corporate office in New York, I might be thinking, well, yeah, that sucks, but that's business. You win some, you lose some.
Sure.
But Jones argues that in the Jamaican context, this isn't just a loss, it's a systemic trap. Why is it so different there?
It really all comes down to the structural difference in how agents operate. If you look at what the piece calls the U.S. model, you generally have these massive brokerage ecosystems.
Okay.
If a project falls through, the marketing losses, so the cost of those brochures, the ads, it's often absorbed by the firm. It's just a line item on a corporate budget.
A tax write-off for a multi-million-dollar company, so there's a buffer. The agent might be annoyed they lost a commission, but they aren't personally bankrupt because they paid for a billboard.
Precisely. But the source highlights that in Jamaica, the agent is often operating as a company of one. Even if they're with a brokerage, the marketing spend for a big development,
Yeah.
it often comes right out of their own pocket.
Wow, so when they pay a videographer, say, $500 for a shoot, that's not company money, that's their grocery money.
Exactly. The text explicitly says, when an agent invests, they invest with their own back, not just their brand. The risk is entirely personal. So when a developer pivots, it's not just a change in strategy, it's a direct hit to someone's livelihood.
There's no corporate mattress to land on.
None at all.
That raises a question about the developers then, because it's so easy to paint them as the villains here, the big bad developer pulling the rug out. But are they just being cruel? Or is the ground shifting under them too?
That is such a crucial nuance we have to unpack.
Yeah.
You can't just look at this as a cartoon of evil developer versus innocent agent.
Right.
The Jamaican market is incredibly volatile compared to, say, the US or the UK. You're dealing with fluctuating financing rates, huge inflation on imported materials like steel,
Bureaucracy that can delay permits for months.
or years. So the developer might start a project thinking, okay, we need agents to sell this fast. Then 6 months later, the price of steel shoots up 20%. Suddenly, they can't afford to pay commissions anymore. They have to take sales in-house just to finish the building.
So they're often pivoting to survive.
Exactly. The instability of the macroeconomy forces them to change their business model on the fly. But, and this is the absolute core of Dean Jones's argument, just because the developer has a good reason to pivot, that doesn't mean the agent should be the collateral damage.
Which makes the agent's position even more terrifying. You're basically hitching your wagon to a horse that is also trying not to fall off a cliff.
Which is why the psychological impact is so heavy. The article talks about this emotional undercurrent that follows the hollow silence. It's not just anger, it's shame.
Oh, the 3 a.m. shame spiral. I know it well. You're lying there thinking, was I an idiot? Was I just too enthusiastic? Did I get played?
It's very, very common. Agents, especially the really good ones, they sell with emotion. They sell with passion. So when the deal dies, they feel foolish for even caring.
They think, I should have been colder. I should have been more cynical.
But you can't be a cynical salesperson. If you walk into a pitch meeting with zero enthusiasm, you're not going to get the listing in the first place.
It's a total catch-22.
And that is exactly where Dean Jones reframes the entire narrative. He argues that the mistake isn't the caring. It's not the enthusiasm or the hard work. The mistake is caring without structure.
Caring without structure. Okay, that sounds great on a bumper sticker, but let's be real. In the heat of the moment, a developer is dangling a multi-million-dollar exclusive, and structure just feels like brakes.
Yeah, that's the fear.
If I start asking for contracts and safety nets, aren't I just going to annoy them and lose the deal to the guy who says, sure, I'll do whatever you want?
That is the fear, yes. But you have to consider the alternative. The source describes this specific archetype. The agent who loves the long arc. The person who loves seeing bare land and just imagining the skyscraper.
They fall in love with the potential.
Totally. And that agent is the most vulnerable because they'll start working before the ink is even dry on a contract.
I feel a little called out. I
Yeah.
am definitely that person. I see the vision and I just want to start running.
And the developers love that about you. But if you start running before you even know where the finish line is, you're just providing free labor. The structure doesn't have to be a brake. It can be a guardrail. It lets you run fast without running off the cliff.
So how do we build that? We need practical steps here, not just telling agents to be smarter. The source offers a checklist, the 3 critical questions.
These are the questions you have to ask before you spend a single dollar of your own money on marketing.
Okay, let's role play this a bit because asking these questions can feel awkward. The first one is role definition.
The trap here is that phrase, we'll see how it goes.
Oh, I hate that phrase. Just start bringing us leads and we'll see how it goes.
It is the most dangerous sentence in business.
Yeah.
It disguises ambiguity as flexibility. You have to ask, what is the specific expectation? Am I the exclusive agent? Am I one of 5? If I bring a buyer, is that my buyer, or do they just go into your general pool?
See, that's tough because if they say, well, we want to keep it open and you push for exclusivity, you might lose the gig.
You might. But if the answer is, we're keeping it open and you're one of 20 agents, isn't it better to know that before you spend $2,000 on a video?
True.
You can still take the job, but maybe you don't spend your own money marketing it. You adjust your investment to match the reality of the role.
That's a fair point. It's not about saying no, it's about sizing your bet. Okay, question 2, the exit point.
This is the prenup. No one wants to talk about the divorce on the first date, but you have to ask, what happens contractually and practically if this relationship ends?
I can just imagine a developer bristling at that. Why are you asking about leaving? We haven't even started.
So you frame it as professional clarity. I just want to make sure we're aligned. If 6 months from now, your strategy changes and you take sales in-house, what happens to the leads I've generated? Is there a referral fee? Do I get reimbursed for the marketing assets I paid for?
And if the answer is I don't know, or we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Then you shouldn't be crossing that bridge with your wallet open. If there is no exit clause, you are basically a volunteer until a check clears.
Brutal, but true. Okay, and the third question, ownership.
This is the one that really bites agents in the digital age. What belongs to me? If you build a website for Sunset Towers, who owns the domain name? If you build an email list of 5,000 interested buyers, is that your database? Or does the developer own it?
This leads perfectly into what the deep dive calls the content trap, because this is where I see people get wrecked the most.
It's the seduction of content is king. We're told constantly to just create, create, create.
Right.
But content without a strategy is just noise.
Yeah.
And specifically, it can be noise that ends up hurting you.
The source uses this analogy about farming that I thought was brilliant. It says, don't put everything in one field unless you own the land.
It's a powerful image, especially in a place like Jamaica. Imagine you spend all your time, all your water and fertilizer on your neighbor's field. The crops look amazing. Then your neighbor just puts up a fence and says, thanks, I'll take it from here.
And you look back at your own yard and it's a dust bowl.
Exactly.
Okay, let's make this concrete. Say I'm an agent. I create an Instagram page called @SunsetTowersLiving. I post every single day, I get 10,000 followers. Everyone associates me with Sunset Towers. Then the developer fires me.
And now you have an Instagram account you can't use. You can't post about other properties because the handle is so specific. The audience is only there for that one building. You effectively build a media asset for the developer for free.
So when you leave completely empty-handed.
Empty-handed.
But wait, devil's advocate here, isn't that how you sell? Niche marketing works. If I make a generic real estate by Dave page, nobody cares, but people care about Sunset Towers. Don't I have to water their garden to get the commission?
You have to water their garden, yes. But you shouldn't drain your own well to do it. The source suggests a layered strategy. You need 3 layers.
Okay, break them down for me.
Layer 1 is the project content. Yes, you post about Sunset Towers. You show the pool, the amazing view. That sells the unit. But layer 2 is the behind the scenes, or you could call it expertise content. This frames the whole narrative around you.
So instead of just a photo of the building, it's a video of me explaining why this building is a good investment.
Exactly. Here is what I look for in a foundation, or here's how I analyze the Kingston market. You're branding your expertise, not just the product. If Sunset Towers fires you, that video is still valuable because it shows you're smart.
That makes so much sense. It shifts the focus from look at this building to look at this agent analyzing a building.
Correct. And the third layer is what we call reusable assets. This is data. This is your email list. You never, ever build a list that only the developer has access to.
You drive traffic to your CRM, your landing page.
Yes. You own the relationship with the customer, not with the building.
So if the project dies, you still have 500 emails from people who are looking for apartments in Kingston. You can call them up and say, hey, Sunset Towers is a no-go, but I have this other great place down the street.
Precisely. That is how you survive the hollow silence. You have portable assets.
I want to zoom out a bit now. We've been focusing heavily on what the agent needs to do to protect themselves, but the source material also has a message for the developers. And it's not just, a moral finger wagging, it's a business argument.
It is. It's all about ecosystem ethics.
Because in a small market like Jamaica, everybody knows everybody.
That's the key. Jones writes, reputations travel faster than press releases.
That line really stuck with me. You can put out a shiny press release about your new luxury villas, but if the top 10 agents in Kingston are all at the bar saying, yeah, that guy didn't pay me for the last one, you're dead in the water.
The real estate industry is surprisingly intimate. Trust is a currency. If a developer treats agents as just disposable marketing tools, I'll use you while I need you and cut you when I don't, they're burning the very infrastructure they need for their next project.
But developers are under pressure too, like we said. Sometimes they have to cut costs. Is there a way to pivot without becoming a pariah?
Absolutely. The source argues you can change your strategy without losing your integrity. It's all about communication and, well, compensation.
So don't ghost the agent.
Don't ghost them. If you have to take sales in-house, sit the agent down. Say, look, the economics have changed. We can't offer the full commission anymore. But you brought us these 50 leads. We will pay you a referral fee for them. Or we'll cover the $5,000 you spent on marketing.
Acknowledge the work.
Acknowledge that they, as Jones puts it, helped build the road you're now walking on. It's about reciprocity. When a developer respects the agent's risk, the agent works harder. When that respect is missing, the agent becomes guarded, and the whole system just grinds to a halt.
It sounds like the core lesson here, really, for everyone, is about boundaries.
Boundaries aren't walls. They're markers that say, this is where respect lives. That's a big quote from the article.
I think a lot of us, especially when we're starting out or are really hungry for a deal, we see boundaries as barriers to success. We think if we have boundaries, we're being difficult. But this deep dive is saying the complete opposite. Boundaries are the only thing that makes success sustainable.
That's it. It's about professional maturity. It's realizing you can be an artist in your marketing, be passionate, creative, emotional, but you have to be a CEO in your contracts.
Artist and marketing, CEO in contracts. I like that. It also relieves some of that shame we talked about earlier.
It should. If you've been burned, it wasn't because you were stupid for caring. It was because the structure wasn't there to hold the weight of that care.
You don't have to stop loving the work.
You just have to stop doing it for free. And you have to stop building on land you don't own.
Which brings us to the final thought I want to leave with our listeners today. Whether you're in real estate in Jamaica, or you're a graphic designer in London, or a consultant in Tokyo, look at your garden.
It's a really necessary audit.
Ask yourself, if my main client or my boss or my partner cut me off tomorrow, total hollow silence, what would I be left with? Do I have assets? Do I have a reputation that stands on its own? Or have I spent the last 5 years just watering someone else's crops?
It's a scary question, but if you ask it now, you have time to start planting your own seeds.
And that might just save you from the silence. Dean Jones's analysis of the Jamaican market is a masterclass in this, and I'm really glad we got to unpack it. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thank you.
We'll catch you on the next one, and take care of your yard.